Kim, have you settled in, or I mean, you hurried home? Are you all set to go here?
Yes, I have a popped beverage in my hand and I'm kicked back.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good formula.
Yes, I hope so.
Well, take it away. You're following on the heels of Hugh and his bank stock, so go ahead. I can't wait to hear it.
Well, I just have found New York Bank of Mellon. The reason I got interested in it is I found out that Tweety Brown, who's a hedge fund manager who is very much a big-time value guy, he increased his portfolio holding by, I would have to say, I think it was 200 million shares from June until September, and I kept wondering, why in the world would he buy that, and what is the risk? Then I found out that Berkshire Hathaway has a little bit of that in there also. And the price that Berkshire Hathaway got it was at right around $21 a share, so that really got me intrigued. So I went to the value line and I did the SSG, and as Hugh said, the SSG looks awful. You can see we're in 08 and 09 when all the bank stocks went, as someone once said, the crapper. Stock price really got depressed. Historically, their sales growth has been over 14%, and I, in being very conservative, I picked 7. And earnings per share, because of what happened, everything's gone down really bad. I believe, like Hugh is also saying, that earnings per share is slowly and steadily going to increase. New York Bank of Mellon action brought against the bank by the government because they claimed that they were charging clients excessively for trading currencies. Well, as of January the 18th, they have settled this partly. They're not saying what it is. They're not saying how much the fines are going to be or anything, but it says discussions are still in progress. But it's getting settled, and I think the stock price got to a low of $17 from a high of about $37, and when I think the stock probably closed around $20, $21 today. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do my more research on this stock, but those two, with Tweety Brown and Buffett having it in a portfolio, it makes me kind of, interesting. Front of the SSG looks like that. When I did the back of my SSG, I thought that by my analysis on the SSG, it would be worth about $40 a share. The next next slide, Mark, is a site. Everyone, if you want to take a note on this, website is whalewisdom.com. It's an interesting site. I found this that it says as to who are the big whales or the hedge fund managers and what are they buying and how many shares have they increased. And you can see this quarter to quarter because it gives you, it's a synopsis of all the 13F filings. And you can find this for a hedge fund as well as for particular stock. So it's also a way to find out if others are interested in your stock as well. It is really sweet because you can go on there and you can compare second quarter to third quarter to fourth quarter, and you can find out what some of the big hedge fund managers, because you can actually go in and find out what Seth Carnum of the Budapest Group, what they're buying, Tweety Brown, what he's buying, Berkshire Hathaway. So it's kind of getting to be one of my favorite sites.
Very interesting. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah. Next slide is, I'm wondering if I may have found another triple play potential, because when I was at Bink this last year, I heard Mark talk about that, and I hadn't really heard about it before of what Nicholson had talked about. And one of the first thing is the PE ratio, is it lower than its average? And you can see that the current PE is 9.8 and the trailing PE is 9.9, but the average is 20. And that certainly would leave me a lot of room for having some capital appreciation with the stock price. And as you're looking, going across, you can see how those PEs were and now how low it's been. And look where it plans on being, they think, by value line out to 2014 and 16, up to 18. And if that PE goes from 9.8 to 18, certainly our stock price is going to be increasing. I also like to look over in the left-hand corner over the 2014 and projections. One of the things I like to make sure of all my stocks when I'm doing some screening, I like that total annual return, that the lowest number I will accept is 10%. Well, here my low is 22% and my high is 35. So if my stock price goes from $21.43 to $45, I'm not going to be complaining. And that actually, with my SSG, I think it was a 4.9 to 1 upside downside ratio. That would be doubling my stock. The other thing I like to see on here is look at the book value, the third one down on the left, or on the right rather. It says the current book value of the stock right now is at $28 and the current price is $21.93. So that is saying that the current price is less than book value. That's also kind of interesting. I know that this stock has fallen off the deep end for a while, but they are also getting, if you look at their loan loss provisions where they had to beef up their balance sheet in 08 and 09, how high they had, well, it's getting much more reasonable, and so that they're getting their balance sheets in order. So that is going to be my stock selection for this roundtable discussion as something for everyone to consider.
Excellent, Kim. Good work there. And then, you know, much like we were just talking about with Hugh's selection of Bank of America, if you look at the bottom of the page, if you're talking about profitability as measured by return on equity, you know, if you can bring yourself to believe that they can go back and approach, even if they don't get all the way back to those historical highlighted return on equity conditions in the mid-teens, even if they can tack on a couple more percent of ROE, not such a bad thing, and a pretty good looking picture for a company like this, and they're apparently quite well managed as banks go. So nicely done, and we'll have to give a cheer
well, I
for
think
the
one of the
financial
other things
sector. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, one of the other things I really thought that really looked real nice is that they have a nice dividend yield of over 2.5%. I think it's 2.25%. So that's always nice, and I believe that they also will be increasing that because just last week they announced their earnings, and their assets under management rose to $1.26 trillion. And yes, that was trillion. That increased 8%. As well as that their assets under custody and administration rose 3% to $25.8 trillion. So this company's got a lot of money in there, because what a lot of people may not recognize is, well, Hugh is saying that he's going to be buying some more Bank of America in the DRIP. It might be New York Mellon who will be managing his DRIP.
That's a good point. All right, well, thanks, Kim. Good stuff.